Hello guys, hello beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time is over there. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Ta-da! If you just stumbled on this channel for the first time, you're highly welcome on board. This is Jessica West 224 on the streets of YouTube. Please consider smashing the red subscribe button, like the video, comment down below, guys, and share. God bless you real good, guys. You know what? If you give the video a massive thumbs up, if you like the video, you comment anything, and you share, you are making YouTube to recommend the video to others so that more persons get to watch and be blessed. So today, guys, from the thumbnail, you know I'm gonna be talking about something most people don't like talking about. Yeah, you heard me. And I'm going to be interviewing somebody on this channel, popularly known as the Uniport dropouts. You guys, if you don't know what's Uniport is the University of Port Harcourt, Rivers State in Nigeria. I'm going to be interviewing someone who, you know, when person they feel and person they feel. So he went through the latter and he's going to share his experience with us and how he had a turnaround. So guys, without much ado, let me tell you about the person I'm bringing on stage today. Ezekiel Olebo. I hope I didn't murder that. Okay, Ezekiel, more popularly known as the Uniport dropout, is a TEDx speaker, podcaster, and award-winning entrepreneur. He is a passionate education influencer with core interest in motivation, study tips, and productivity. He failed out of the University of Port Harcourt in 2012 after 6 years of struggle in the Department of Geology. In 2013, he became depressed and suicidal. In 2014, after submitting to personal development and mentorship, he returned to the University of Port Harcourt, this time to study economics. 4 years later, he emerged as the university's overall best graduating student for 2017/2018 academic session and the valedictorian for the 32nd convocation ceremony, which was held on Friday 29th March 2019. Since then, he has directly monitored over 1,000 undergraduates across Africa, sharing his unique blueprint for success in education and business. His themes of life are never give up and no excuses. Excuses and results do not live on the same street. Ezekiel 2019. He exploded on the international scene when he and Germany-based Marcel Antonio Kass, I hope I didn't murder that, joined forces to co-host a podcast show titled The Unstoppable Mind, which is live on Apple Podcasts and other popular platforms. In 2021, he was invited to speak at the TEDx University of Port Harcourt, where he gave his now popular and miracle of failure TED Talk. He's been featured as a keynote speaker at student events on television with Salvation TV and on forums such as Port Harcourt Specials. He also interviews high-performing individuals in education, business, sports, etc., with the aim of helping the global student community discover the keys to success and greatness in their studies and more. Without much ado, please drum rolls with clap. Let's make welcome one of Nigerian's finest students, brilliant student, the Uniport dropout, Ezekiel Olebo. Let's go. Ezekiel Olebo, you're welcome on board. board. Please, can you share about your dropout story with us? We really want to know.
Yeah, so in 2006, 2007, I came into University of Port Harcourt to do a pre-degree program in geology before going on to 100 level the next year. And I would say, in hindsight, geology wasn't really my thing. But at that time, I just wanted to get into the university. And so I was naturally distracted, didn't feel like I was in the right place. Just didn't feel right about the course. And so naturally, you end up not giving it your best. And that was exactly what happened to me. So I didn't give geology as a course. I didn't give it my best. So I went on to not graduate after 4 years, and then had 2 extra years to remedy my grades, and I still couldn't graduate. Went on to become suicidal, depressed, all sorts of things. But eventually, I quit all of the habits of blaming, complaining, and giving excuses. And I decided to take charge of my life. I think that was in 2014. Then went back to University of Port Harcourt, and 4 years later I became the university's overall best graduating student. So for me, I've retained the name the Uniport dropout because it helps me stay humble, but it also helps inspire other people. I mean, think about it. If I come to you and I say, hey, I was the University of Port Harcourt's overall best graduating student some years back, I was the valedictorian, yeah, you like that, but then you may think I'm showing off, or I'm showing off, or just wanting to make you feel jealous or something, or trying to grow my brand. But when I come to you and say, hey, I'm a dropout, I'm your favorite dropout, I'm the Uniport's dropout, right? You feel pity for me, or you want to know my story, and then when eventually you hear the full story, now that inspires you. So I've retained the name. I love the name, absolutely love the name. And it's inspired people around the world, and I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to be that dropout that everyone can look up to.
How did you feel starting all over again? Like, how did you feel? I can only imagine. How did you feel starting all over again?
I must be honest, starting all over in the same University of Port Harcourt was a real experience, you know. And when I decided to do it, I didn't see the full picture. I didn't know exactly what to expect going back to the same environment. But one of the first things that hit me was that, okay, it started with my HOD in geology. So starting afresh as a 100 level student, you needed to do your medicals, right? So I was in the medical center, and then I met my HOD, then HOD in geology, who was also my project supervisor, Dr. Seth, now Professor Seth. And he said, hey boy, what are you doing here? After your project, I didn't see you again. You disappeared. What happened? You know? And I had to explain that, sir, yeah, dropped out from there, and I'm starting again in Department of Economics. And then also my coursemate back in geology was one of the persons taking our samples for the medical. So he had graduated and was now working with the University of Port Harcourt. I was now back there as a 100 level student, you know, and this happened several times. One of my former classmates in geology was also working in the school library. I would literally meet people I know every single day, especially in my 100 level when I came back. It was difficult for me, Jessica, I'm not going to lie. But it helped to build something that I didn't even know I needed. I've always considered myself as a humble person, but going through those few years, it broke anything that resembled pride in me. Like, it literally tossed everything else out. So yeah, those were difficult times. How you had to explain, for example, to junior colleagues that you were not back here to do a master's, you were not back here to do a PhD, you haven't been employed by the school, but you are literally in 100 level again, and you're starting afresh. You know, and I remember telling people then, when they would see me then in 100 level in economics, why did you decide to do this? Why would you come back to the same school? I said, well, this is where I failed. So I think it was just nice for me to come back to the place where I failed to put things right. You know, it sounded like a very, very stupid idea to have come back to University of Port Harcourt, but now here where I sit, I'm grateful that I did it. Really grateful that I did it that way.
Okay, how did it affect your complexity? Like, did you develop inferiority complex? Did it affect your social life? Did you withdraw from the society? How was it like? How was it like? I can see you're all now smiling, so I'm smiling alongside. I can't imagine what you actually went through.
Yes, so along with my faith went my self-esteem. Along with my trust in God went my self-esteem. Literally felt there was nothing really good about me. So yes, it did affect my self-esteem as well. So I disconnected from the social world, even disconnected from family, because I was too ashamed to face family and tell them really what had happened with school, and it affected my relationship with a few persons in the family and a few friends as well. I lost some friends, and then I gained some in that moment of my life. So it affected my social life. And now for me, while I had dropped out, yes, that was the moment where I felt so inferior and all. But the moment I had come back to school and was doing well in my 100 level, I already had a first class GP. And the moment I started seeing some sunshine in my life, and that was it. I got myself back, you know. So that was it. The moment I started school again, started seeing good results, my self-esteem came back. And that's what I tell people, that one moment on the corridors of success, just one moment is enough to clear the tears of all of the days of suffering and failure, you know. And that was it for me. That one moment when during the convocation it said that now the best graduating student will arise and give the valedictory speech, and called my name. That one moment more than made up for every trouble I had ever faced in my life. I still can't believe how a dropout became the best graduating student of his school. Like sometimes when I hear people share my story, the way you shared my bio, like I feel like, wait, did that really happen? Like I still can't believe it, you know. So it more than made up for all of the years that I thought I had lost. So yeah, my self-esteem is back now. Right now, there's literally nothing any human can do to me to down my self-esteem. Absolutely nothing. Yes, it affected my spiritual life. It affected my trust in God. It affected my faith in God. And growing up in the church, my father was a pastor. Literally, all we had known was God, right? And also somewhere in my SS3, I had also given my life to Jesus. So it wasn't just, oh, this is what my father used to preach. It was, I had also come to find Christ for myself. And you also need to understand that at this point I had served in my fellowship in NIFES, so I had a relationship with God, but I also had the opportunity to serve and lead other Christians on campus, even in my local church before that time. So this is not someone who never knew God, who was then losing faith. So someone who had seen God work in the lives of people over time, you know. So when someone like that loses faith, then it's usually very difficult to come back. But I thank God, because God never let go of me. Initially, I was blaming God for my failures, but it got to a point, and every man gets there, where you now begin to retrospect and you begin to think back and ask yourself quality questions. The same kind of quality questions that the prodigal son asked himself, that made him to turn and go back to his father. That was it for me, and that was 2013 for me. I sat back in my elder sister's house in Benin in Nigeria, and I asked myself deep questions, you know, questions like, did I really give my best to the geology program? The answer was no. Can I really blame any other person for my failure? That one was difficult, because I thought everyone was to blame, literally, but at that point I had to, the only sincere answer was that no, there was no one else to blame. Then I start asking myself more empowering questions. Can I do better? For example, if I go back to school and I learned a few skills and I had a few mentors, is it possible to do better? The answer was yes. Is it also possible perhaps to even get a first class? The answer was yes. And so after asking myself the demeaning questions that kind of put the blame on you, you then start to ask yourself the more empowering questions. Can I get better? Can I do better with my life? Can I achieve bigger, greater, more exciting things with my life? And you begin to ask those kinds of questions and you begin to say yes. You begin to say yes. By the time you've said yes to some 5 questions, something in you shifts. And this is where a lot of persons lose it. When they are depressed, all they are asking themselves is questions where they get to say no. And the more you say no, the more you go down. But after those kinds of questions, and after you've accepted that you can't blame any other person out there but yourself, then you need to switch it and then start asking yourself more empowering questions that get you to begin to say yes, that get you to begin to see some hope and some light at the end of the tunnel. I'm really grateful that my life didn't just end as a dropout and then just getting depressed and then even suicidal. It didn't end there, you know. God helped me to also ask myself some empowering questions. Until today, I still do that. I still, when I'm stuck, not knowing the next phase for myself, I end up asking myself some of these kinds of questions. And as long as you can see that there is something better that you can do from where you sit or from where you stand, then it means that there is still work out there to be done. And there's just this thing about hope. Once there is hope of a better future, your spirit man just keeps going. And that's what I find that is very helpful to me. If there's still something out there to achieve, then my spirit man is ready to keep pushing. You know, one scripture for me that came in very handy even when I was a dropout was Deuteronomy chapter 2 verse 36b. And there was no city too strong for the children of Israel to conquer, because the Lord their God was with them. And that's where this whole unstoppable movement came from. That scripture. This is while I was still a dropout, remember? I hadn't even tested the success principles. I hadn't gotten first-class mentors yet. I hadn't done any of those things. Right in my dropout moment, in my failure moments, God began to inspire me.
What were the mistakes you feel you did that if you were to go through that route again, you'll make it better this time around?
To start with, I wasn't attending my classes. You should never do that, guys. You should never do that. Like, that one was... Please attend your classes, guys. Then in a whole semester, and I kid you not, in a whole semester, then studying geology, I would attend classes like maybe only 10 times. No jokes. A whole semester. Usually semesters were like 3 months. I would attend only 10 classes in the full semester. And sometimes I wouldn't even stay the whole day. I'll just, oh, what's this person saying? And just start going back home. No jokes. No jokes. So that was the first one. I wasn't attending classes. I was doing night class when I wasn't a night reader. So there's something I developed, which I share with the students I mentor around the world. It's called your reading blueprint. That, like, there's literally a baseline of things that you do that represents your reading style. For example, you could be a day reader or a night reader. You can be both, but there is a time of the day when you are more productive, right? For me, I wasn't a night reader. I preferred my sleep. No jokes. You know, all those talk about for you to get a first class, for you to be successful in school, you have to burn the midnight candle. There was no midnight candle for me when I succeeded, but when in geology, I'll go do night class, my goodness. And then the next day, I'll not be able to do anything useful because night class wasn't my thing. I didn't have textbooks. In short, anything you can think about that's a failure of a student will do. I did it. Literally, I did it. Oh, my goodness. How I even got some C's in geology is still baffling. How I even got some A's. I got a few A's in some maths courses and just a few courses here and there. But so yeah, I mean, and I had the opportunity. Thank God I had the real opportunity to come back and change that. So what did I do the second time back to school when I came to study economics? Well, the first thing was that I actually loved studying economics. So literally I loved the course. And a lot of students go into school and they don't love what they are in school to study. Some people are able to hustle through it and still do well, even get a first class. But some who are like me, we can't cope with anything that we do not like. So we'll just fail at it. So the first thing I would say is love, at least have some baseline love for the course you're studying. And these tips would transcend into any line of business, any line of career. It's literally principles for success, I think. So after the love for what you're doing, the next thing will be to get mentors. Get mentors. And it was very key for me because all I knew was average or failure as far as my academics was concerned. And the key thing when you find these mentors is to submit to them. That's the part most people don't do. They see someone who is more successful than them and they become envious of the person, or they actually go and ask, how did you do it? The person tells them what they did, but then they start questioning it, or they start arguing with the person, or they go back and they never really do anything about what they were told. So that wasn't me. If any of my mentors said, do this, that was exactly what I was going to do.
And lastly, Ezekiel, what will be your parting words to persons who are in similar shoes? What will you say to encourage people who are going through depression, going through suicidal thoughts, going through failure in life? What will you say to encourage them out there?
And I say this with all sense of responsibility and with all the emotions that I have in me. I would want you to imagine a world where you were not allowed to give excuses, to complain, or to blame. Now, imagine a world where all you could do was to be thankful and grateful, take responsibility, and take action. How would your life be? So all I'm asking is, do what I did. I replaced my complaining, my blaming, and my excuses. I replaced them with being grateful and thankful for whatever I had at that point in time. Because being grateful and being thankful is like a platform that launches you to bigger, better things. So imagine that all you could do was be grateful or thankful. Take responsibility, meaning no one has the power or authority to make you fail. If there's anything happening in your life, you can trace it back to you as the author of it. So you are responsible for your finances. Just imagine that you're responsible for your spiritual life. You're responsible for every facet of your life. So that's the second thing, taking responsibility. And then finally, taking action. All you're allowed to do was to be grateful, take responsibility, and take action. Your life is going to definitely change. And for me, that's the whole core of the unstoppable mindset. How that you're not allowed to complain, blame, or give excuses. You're only allowed to be thankful, take responsibility, or take action. And that's what I teach to people. Today, I'm like a teenage pastor in my church here in Birmingham, and I try to instill that in them. I can boldly say I have mentored over 1,000 undergraduates and even master students across the world, especially in Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon, and now in the UK as well. And that's exactly what I share with them. That listen, you're not allowed to blame. There's nothing like, oh, sir, that lecturer is too difficult. No. There's nothing like, oh, sir, that's department, they don't used to get first class. I mean, someone reached out to me recently, one of my students, and was so thankful and so grateful that, yeah, he just got a first class. And then when I posted it on my status, someone else shared with me that, look, it is almost impossible to get a first class in that department. You mean that guy got a first class in political and administrative studies? And I said, yes. I didn't even know that it was really that difficult to get a first class in that department, right? But one thing I remembered about this young man back then during the mentorship was that you asked him to do something, he went on to do it. And usually that's the difference between those who go on to do big things and those who don't, right? Those who go on to do big things, you ask them to do stuff, they just go ahead and do it. They take action. One thing I know is that when God sees your effort, He'll be able to help you, push you through the line. And I'm grateful today. Look at me, a dropout. somebody who would have committed suicide sometime in 2013. But today I have the opportunity to inspire the world, literally inspire the whole world. Everyone who has heard my story has just only had good things to say. But that came because I was willing to change my story. I was willing to change my life. Today I'm inspiring people. I get messages. People tell me, thank you for saving my marriage. I heard your story and it changed my marriage. I'm like, well, that was an academic story. How did an academic story change your marriage? But I get what happened to that person. The person realized that, hey, this guy was an utter failure and he was able to take responsibility for his life and change his story. And so if I stop complaining about my spouse and I take responsibility, you know, my marriage can get better. I suspect that that's exactly what has happened to those people, you know. So it's an honor to be able to inspire people around the world. I hope I've been able to inspire you with my story. I hope I've tried my best to be just a little portion of your success story going forward. All right. So you are unstoppable. Nothing and no one can stop you. Right. Deuteronomy 2 verse 36b, which I use on myself every day, and I'm hoping that you can use it for yourself. It says that there was no city too strong for the children of Israel to conquer, because the Lord their God was with them. So you're unstoppable. Nothing can stop you. Go out there, stop complaining, stop blaming, stop giving excuses. Start being grateful and thankful. Start taking responsibility for your life and start taking massive action. Thank you so much. Jessica, thank you. I really appreciate you for having me on your platform. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Ezekiel Ulevo. You don't know how excited and how elated I am. I feel honored to have you on my channel today. Hey guys, Ezekiel Ulevo is also a YouTuber. He's a YouTuber. Please support his channel. I'll leave his handle on the screen. Go to his channel, support him. With this, we've come to the end of this video, guys. Wasn't it juicy? Guys, leave for me your thoughts in the comment section below. He's gonna be there to reply all your burning questions and comments, guys. I know you want to ask more questions. Please just leave it down in the comment section. With this, like I said again, we've come to the end of this video. Kindly smash the red subscribe button if you haven't. Like the video, comment and share. God bless you real good, and may failure never be your portion. In Jesus' name, amen. From me to you, bye-bye.